The second round of talks seem like there's going to be the last chance for a deal. Ghalibaf seems really wishy-washy, seems really nervous. He might be thinking about giving in, selling out. He's coming under fire, which is telling me that previously, when the regime had the role of, hey, some of you guys are going to take the bullet, and then, some people are going to seem, more hardliner or whatever on purpose. But this time it seems like because he's so ambitious, he's not willing to take this bullet, and he's trying to play both sides. So he's caught at a really hard point right now. So he might be thinking about selling out. Trump said, I'm going to blow up all the power plants again. So what that says is, hey, we're back to square one right before the ceasefire. Except this time, you guys are financially weaker, and I got all the time. So make the deal. And we're not even afraid of China. We stopped their tanker. It's a firm warning, like, stay out of this. You guys have nothing to do. Russia can't help. China can't help. No one's coming to help to save the regime. The proxies are all they have. We're apparently bombing the Houthis. So you can't even close the Bab el Mandeb. As Sketch said, potentially, if any ships were trying to escape through Africa, they can't do that either. These guys are being choked over the past 2 months. And I'm trying to think, what is left for them to possibly do now?
So this is actually very interesting because Ghalibaf has the worst position. And I think that you're right. Ghalibaf is screwed. I think that people like Vahidi and Zolgat still have a chance, tiny bit of chance, okay? But Ghalibaf had to play both sides, and now he has neither, right? So if you're Arakchi or if you're a reformer, your job is simple. You take the bullet. Okay, you're like, yeah, okay, other people are in charge. I'm never going to be given the power, so I just take the bullets. I'm the scapegoat. Yes, they make me, they basically, I'm the person who's been pushed to the front to go talk to the Americans and then also get the blame. We saved the Islamic Republic, but we also get called traitors, right? And the other people in power will benefit from it. So Arakchi knows that this is his role. As a reformer, he has to be the scapegoat, right? A so-called reformer. The hardliners, they know their role is like, fuck the Americans, fuck Israelis, fuck peace, fuck negotiations, fuck ceasefire. And this is how you stay in power. Like, you don't want to be seen as somebody who's betraying the blood of Ali Khamenei, the values of the revolution. We're standing strong. We are defending Islam, and we're fighting against the enemies of Islam, right? Ghalibaf is screwed because he wanted the power, but he's also been sent forward to talk to the Americans, right? So he's basically in the middle of, like, he's half reformer, half hardliner now. And he can't have, like, and I think this is working. If the Islamic Republic survives, this is working very well for people like Vahidi or Zulqaj or Najat or other people, because their competitor was pushed to the front to go talk to the Americans, and now, like, oh yeah, he's a traitor. So if these people were not terrorists, you would feel bad for Ghalibaf, right? Because Ghalibaf is actually doing the sacrifice to save the Islamic Republic, the sacrifice needed to save the Islamic Republic, but he's getting all the hate. Is like a really thankless job. Like like being flexible to the Americans is what you need right now to save the Americans, but everyone within the Islamic Republic will hate you for it. So I know Ghalibaf is very ambitious and power hungry. So if you're Ghalibaf, you have to think to yourself, well, I can't be in power if the Islamic Republic falls. Not only I wouldn't be in power, I will probably be next on the kill list. Like, I will, like they stopped at Larijani, and I was next right after Larijani. I was next to die. And I'm just talking to the Americans, not just for the sake of being in power, but also for the sake of being alive. Okay, the next Israeli drone is going to come up my ass. Like, I'm the next person who's going to die, right? So he's like fighting for power, but also for his life. But because he had to go out there and be the person who's negotiating for the sake of the Islamic Republic, he's also really, because nobody else was important enough. Nobody else was important enough to go talk to the Americans. Arakchi was obviously not important enough. But all the other people who were important, they were like, I'm not talking to the people who killed Ali Khamenei. So like, motherfuckers, like, we're all gonna die. We're all gonna die if we don't talk to the Americans. They're like, sucks to be you, I guess. Go talk to them. And he basically did the sacrifice of going and talking to the Americans. And obviously, he's going to be labeled as a traitor. And this is going to be, if the Islamic Republic survives, Vahidi and Zolgad will be able to basically throw him under the bus and get Muslim, like, all of the power, because he's now been labeled as like a traitor. From the perspective of people like Vahidi and Zolgad, if the Islamic Republic survives, this looks very well, because like really good, because if they survive, because the only other competition they had that was alive is now being labeled as a traitor. So let him go be as flexible as he wants to the President Trump, save the Islamic Republic, and then we will have everything. The only thing that would, if the Islamic Republic survives, the only thing that works against them, if Mujtaba wakes up from his beauty sleep and then comes and says that, oh, I Ghalibaf is actually my man, then this will ruin their entire plan, and now Ghalibaf will become powerful again. But that's the only chance he has. But what do you think, Ellie?
Yeah, if I was Vahidi, I would just let Ghalibaf do whatever he wants to do. And I think they were trying to do that until they saw just how power hungry he was. And so they gave a bit of pushback. But I think it'll be really telling to see who shows up to the negotiations. Is Zorgad going to show up? Are we going to hear the same? Are we going to hear like actual giving in to demands? I don't really see a way out for Ghalibaf unless the only thing I can think of is if he does a violent coup. That's the only thing I can think of.
He doesn't have enough manpower. Like, he doesn't have enough. The most of the manpower belongs to the heads of the main people within the heads of the IRGC. Like, he doesn't have
If
the guns. Yeah.
there's that's the only way. If he can somehow sway those guys, that's his only way to stay alive. Every other avenue leads to his death.
Well, I don't think they might. I don't think they will kill him. Before, I think they want to. They would. It would be better to label, like, to kill him, to kill his character
Yeah.
without killing him. Maybe at some point they will kill him, but it's important to kill his character before they kill him physically. Because if they kill him too soon, like, you don't want him to go down as a. Yeah, actually, no, we wouldn't care. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Actually, they might kill him and also say it wasn't us. Okay, if you do kill him, you have to kill him in a way that it makes it seem like the Israelis killed him. Okay, you can't kill him. You don't want to. You don't want to make it obvious that it was the IRGC that killed him, or a car. Oh yeah, or a car bomb, thinking it was like the. It was the basically the guard job we done, the immortal guards, somebody eternal. Yeah.
Or if he's the traitor, they can spin that too, right? So if he does something so heinous as in open up the strait given to the uranium, that also might be enough. Like that might be character death immediately, which would justify the execution of him.
Hmm. Well, I know a lot of regime supporters in Iran are seeing the fact that Ghalibaf and Arakchi are alive signs that they're Mossad agents. You know, so like as one of the other sides and the Mossad agents. They're like, why is everybody good dead and Ghalibaf is alive and Arakchi is alive? They see that as a they're walking around to Islamabad, and why is their plane not being shut down? I
And
do have two videos of Ghalibaf that I want to share with you guys, because I will translate it really quickly. I will put it on double speed and translate it for you guys, because it's going to be, because Ghalibaf tried to get it, like, he realized that he's losing, and he came out on TV and he had a huge speech. But there are two parts of it that, so I reviewed a lot of it on the show, but then after the show, I went and saw, because I knew his speech is going to backfire. I know Ghalibaf coming out on state TV and trying to come up with excuses and defend himself, I knew that it's not going to work and it's going to make the regime supporters even more angry. But I was going to see what exactly in the speech that they got pissed off the most. And it was these two parts that I'm going to show you, right? So Ghalibaf had to come and basically convince everybody that he's as anti American as everyone else. And let's actually listen to this in double speed and I'll just translate it to you guys.
مردم عزیز ما تنگه در کنترل جمهوری اسلامی است خاطر
Okay, so here he says, "Dear Iranian people, the strait is in the control of the Islamic Republic." Okay, so he says in the control. They didn't like that language. They're like, "What do you mean it's in the control? Are you closing it or are you not closing it?"
تون هست که مینروب بخواد بفرسته مینروبی کنه خب ما اینا رو محکم ایستادیم برخورد کردیم
So saying the Americans are sending minesweepers, and we basically we confronted them.
اینا رو لغو آتش بس می‌دونستیم و گفتن اگه اقدام بکنید
We said that this is the violation of the ceasefire, and we told them that if you do this,
میزنیم تا مرحله درگیری هم رفتیم اون عقب
we will hit you.
می‌کردن اونجا که بودم برادر نوح عبداللهی با من تماس داشت میگفت مینروب
You can see who's talking to who, right? So Abdullahi is the head of the Khatam al-Anbiya. So he says he was talking to Abdullahi when the Americans were trying to go past the line, right?
اینا اومده در جای قرار گرفته که اگر اینجا نایسته حتما
And so Abdullahi said, like, if the Americans don't stop here, we're going to shoot them with missiles.
موشک ما بهش اصابت میکنه من اونجا به هیئت آمریکایی گفتم
And I told the Americans,
تو این مرزیم اگر از جلوتر بیاد قطعا
if you cross this line, you're going to get hit by a missile.
میزنیم 15 دقیقه فقط از ما وقت خواستن گفتم آقا
And like the Americans asked us for 15 minutes.
15 دقیقه وقت بدیم ما دستور میدیم که
And I told Abdullahi to give them 15 minutes.
و دستور دادم برگشت بعد
And then they ordered it and the Americans went back. He's basically trying to show strength against the Americans because now a lot of people think he's an enemy asset. He's basically coming out, like the entire his speech that he had was about he like demonstrating he's like like he's strong against the Americans.
داشت
Right?
شما عبداللهی با من تماس داشت آره 15 دقیقه الان برگشت یعنی
And I confirmed with Abdullahi that they went back and say yes.
نگاه کنید لذا اگر امروز در تنگه هم ترددی داره انجام میشه و پیش
Oh, so look at this. So like he's saying that so if today you see some movements happening in the Strait of Hormuz,
ما کنترل تنگه دست ماست الان
we have control over it. We have control over the Strait of Hormuz. So this pissed them off a lot. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're saying you have control and you're still letting people go through the Strait of Hormuz? What I'm actually impressed with these retarded jihadi people because it was very impressive. They went through the entire thing and they realized that he never said that like Ghalibaf never said in this entire speech that he's closing the Strait of Hormuz, right? He's talked about we have control. For 2-3 days they have surrounded us, so they have surrounded this area. What does that mean? That means everybody could go through except us.
تصمیم ناشیانه و نادانی خب اگر اینجا تنگه هست ما هستیم و همه اونایی که از اینجا میخوان برن همه برن ما نریم مگه امکان پذیره
So he's just basically saying that's so unfair and it's not possible.
این هم اشتباه و اشتباه طبیعتا من گفتم که اگر محاصره رو رها نکنند حتما
So
تردد در تنگه محدود خواهد شد محدود
okay, so this is the part that really pissed off the pro-regime people. They say like I told the Americans that if they don't stop the basically the blockade on the ports, I told them that the mobility, the movements in the Strait of Hormuz will become limited. We will limit the movements around the Strait of Hormuz. So the pro-regime people were like, why is he saying limited instead of closing the Strait of Hormuz? So he like they got so pissed off. They was like, Ghalibaf, you're telling us that even if they continue to blockade our ports, you will only go as far as limiting movements in the Strait of Hormuz and you're not going to close the Strait of Hormuz. So basically their understanding was based on this speech that Ghalibaf wants to have his cake and eat it too, meaning that he wants to tell the pro-regime people that, oh yeah, we are like defying against the Americans, but also not tell the Americans that we're going to close the Strait of Hormuz. He wants to have it both ways and they recognize that. And then the second video I need to show this to you guys as well because this is the information you're not going to get in other places, right? So let me play this one. Here, I'll just play the beginning part.
ولی من اینجا یه نکته رو میخوام بگم اصلا اینجا بگیم وارد بشم این به معنی این نیست که ما در قدرت نظامی از آمریکا قوی تریم
Look at this. He's telling the regime supporters that we are not actually stronger than the Americans in our military capabilities. Deflate the delusion a little bit. He doesn't want to completely burst it, but he's coming to the realization that all of this confidence is harming them so much because the expectations by the regime supporters are so high. So he's actually telling them, like, guys, we're actually not more able than the Americans in our military power.
خب دو تا چهار تاست معلومه
And like he's saying, this is basic math.
آمریکایی‌ها پولش از ما بیشتر، تجهیزاتش
Yeah, they have more money than us. They have more equipment than
از
us.
ما بیشتر، امکاناتش از ما بیشتر.
They have more abilities than us.
بس که اینا در دنیا جنایت کردن چون همیشه
Like he's saying, this is because they have committed so much more crimes than us around the world, and they have invaded so many places that gives them more experience.
کارشون تهاجمه، تجربهشون از ما بیشتر. رژیم صهیونیستی هم که نوکر و عمله اونها هست.
And the Zionist regime is obviously their slave. By the way, I never understood, like, these people can't. They keep saying Israel is America's slave, and the next day they say America is Israel's slave. So I don't know. They need to figure out which one is it. But because they go with both. So like, and he's saying, well, Israel is obviously America's slave.
بیشتر. رژیم صهیونیستی هم که نوکر و عمله اونها هست تو منطقه و برای منافعشون دیدین که جنگ قبل هم اشاره کردن که اگر در دولت قبلی آمریکا که اگر اسرائیل هم نمیبود امروز باید یه اسرائیل در منطقه درست می‌کردیم. یعنی در واقع ژاندارم اوناست در اینجا میخواد کار خود.
So you're getting a little bit off topic. It's not really.
انجام میده. خب اونم از قدرت بالایی برخورد.
So he's saying Israel also is very powerful. The Zionist regime is also very powerful.
داره.
So these are the things that you don't say to like this is going to piss off regime supporters. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear that they are powerful and you could defeat them.
یه وقتی من میبینم مردم عزیز ما میگن که ما اونا رو نابود
Sometimes I hear our dear people saying,
کردیم. نه ما اونا رو نابود
okay, that we have destroyed them, and he's like, no, we did not destroy them. Okay. And sometimes I hear our dear people saying that we have destroyed them, and like, nope, we did not destroy them.
قدرت بالایی برخورد داره. یه وقتی من میبینم مردم عزیز ما میگن که
So guys, the reason why he's doing this is he's trying to say that he's trying to tell the pro-regime people why we need to negotiate with them, because the pro-regime people are saying, like, why are we doing ceasefire? We're so able to destroy them, so let's just keep fighting until they're completely done. So he's saying, like, actually we did not destroy them, and they're not actually as weak as you think, so that's why we need to talk to them and negotiate, and that's why we need ceasefires.
ما اونا رو نابودشون کردیم. نه ما اونا رو نابودشون نکردیم. اینو بدونیم. ما در این جنگ برنده میدانیم.
Okay, so he's still telling them, like, in this war we have won this battle. Like, in this battle we are winners. Like, yes, it's true that we have won so far, but it's not like that's what he's saying. So in this battle we have won.
و ما تونستیم. نگاه کنید اینجا این نکته مهمه که بدونیم. حتما تجهیزات و امکانات و پول در جنگ.
Yeah, like it's true that they have more equipments and more money and more abilities.
و در پیروزی مؤثره. ولی همیشه اتفاق نمیفته.
But it's not always that leads to victory.
ما در یک جنگ نامتقارن با اینا به گونه‌ای جنگ کردیم.
Like we fought with them in an asymmetrical warfare with them.
که با طراحی خودمون، با آمادگی خودمون دشمن رو به
with our design and with our readiness.
اونا اینو داشتن ولی قدرت طراحی
they had so many things but they had bad design.
و نحوه استفاده از این رو درست عمل نکردن.
They didn't use their abilities very well.
اینکه من میگم اونها از جهت راهبردی و استراتژیکی اشتباه تصمیم میگیرن.
So strategically they made bad decisions.
اینجاست. مثلا شما نگاه کنید در رابطه با ملت ما اشتباه میکنن. همینطور در
So they're for example they're wrong, like for example they make bad decisions regarding our nation.
طراحی نظامیشون هم اشتباه میکنن. اون بحثی که من هشتگی که میگفتم الان این دولت مدعی اول آمریکا ولی در عملا شده اول اسرائیل چون با اطلاعات غلط او با طراحی او تصمیم میگیره. پس این نکته رو بگم چرا الان من بعضن از عزیزانمون میشنوم حتی بعضی رسانه‌های ملی خودمون اینطوری میگن که ما در واقع همه قدرت نظامی اونها رو نابود کردیم. بریم
So the reason why I'm saying this is because I hear so many of our people, so many of the dear people of our country saying that we completely destroyed all of their military abilities.
بقیه‌اش هم نابود کنیم مذاکره نکنیم.
So let's go and destroy everything else as well. So we don't need negotiations.
من اینجا میخوام بگم به این موضوع توجه کنیم ما حتما برتری میدان به دست ماست.
Like I just want to let you know that it's true that within the battlefield we are superior.
به همین خاطر هم هست که ترامپ درخواست آتش بس داره.
And that's why Trump is asking for a ceasefire.
این رو باید بهش توجه کنیم.
So he's basically trying to sell why ceasefire is actually good because they think he's a traitor because he's doing a ceasefire. He's basically doing two things at the same time. He's saying we can't just go destroy them militarily and because they're actually still there and they have some power, right? And also he's saying the ceasefire is actually a humiliation of them. So this is good. Like because the ceasefire is a sign of our victory. It's not a sign of our defeat. It's a sign of our victory. Because in this battle we won, and that's why they had to come and do a ceasefire with us. So you can see, I show you this to see you what a mess Ghalibaf has to deal with when it comes to trying to. He's talking to the Americans. He's trying to be flexible, but he has to try to sell it to an internal audience. And you know, the Vahidi and Zolgad are just watching this, and they're just so happy that it's not them who have to do this, and he's basically ruining himself with all of this, right? So nobody is jealous right now of Ghalibaf. Anyways,
Armin, before you go, I just want to show you that this is Tehran right now. Is this not an omen? This is Tehran right now. Also, check CENTCOM. They posted the statement about this, and they actually showed a video of them shooting at the ship.
Sketch, you wanted to say something quickly before I go?
Yes, I wanted to say, didn't they say that the people that went weren't the ones taking the decision? So this guy isn't even taking the decision. Someone behind the scenes is the one that's opening the straight. He's just taking the blame and doing the spin, right? Does he actually have the power?
He has some power, but he doesn't have the. Okay, so here's the thing: he is influential, but he might not be the most influential, right? Nobody has right now. The problem is that everything is so fragmented that there's really nobody in charge. We just have different power centers, and it's actually hard to see who's on top. Ghalibaf seems not to be the top guy based on JD Vance's experience, but he is one of the most important people right now within the Islamic Republic. He might not be the most important. The best two candidates right now, when it comes to the two most important, are Vahidi and Zolgadr. But it's really hard to tell who is the top guy right now. And General Munir from Pakistan, I suspect that when he went to Tehran just recently, he went to Tehran to try to figure out who's actually in charge. But the answer is we don't know. And also, the answer is maybe neither do they. Like, maybe even they don't know who's really in charge.
Did they tell him, hey, okay, we'll do what you say, but you're the one that has to take the blame for it. You have to spin it to the people. It's like, okay, you wanna open it? Okay, we'll open it, but you take the blame for this. And if your head rolls, if the people want your head to roll,
that is a conversation that I can imagine. Or I can also imagine them not having to have that conversation because Ghalibaf is motivated to go and do this anyways because he was the next on the kill list, right? So for Ghalibaf, this is not just about power. This is also about staying alive because if they were just going through regime officials very easily one by one. So Ghalibaf was like, I'm next on the list. I need to do something. Right. So it might also be that he might have had his own motivations, right? But you're right. That might have been a conversation.
I think that they're going to try, Ghalibaf and Arachi will try and negotiate their own asses out. That's what I think is going to happen if they're not Mossad agents. They're going to try and save their own skins.
Yep, yeah, that is also a possibility. Yeah, that's what I would do if I was them.